Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into it, I would like to make it clear that all the content I make and everything I speak out is just within my awareness and within the knowledge that I have at this point in time. I'm not saying that everything I say it's the truth, or even that everything I say it's 100% a valid point. I like to talk what I think and how I observe the world within my experience. That's not to say that I am better than people that I am talking about, or to highlight the fact that I am somewhat special. On the contrary, everything I've learned is within my frailties and from my mistakes. So at any point in time, if you think I come across patronizing or arrogant or even proud, please let me know in the comments below. This is definitely not my aim. I am trying to express my thoughts and my observations through my experience of life, and hopefully entertain you or bring you any type of value in your life, or even helping your brain think different perspective, let's say. If you're from the US, you're most likely aware of the America's first nuclear meltdown that happened in the 60s. On January the 3rd in 1961, SLA-1 underwent a steam explosion and meltdown, killing its 3 operators. The direct cause was the improper withdrawal of the central control rod responsible for absorbing neutrons in the reactor's core. Like I just read from the Google as well, that unfortunate event killed 3 young men, and if I remember correctly, their age was between 22 to 27 or something like that. In any case, they were in their 20s, and I was really surprised by that. I didn't realize that some scientists are so young. And you might argue that perhaps that has something to do with why things went so wrong for them. Hi everyone, it's me from the future. I'm editing this right now and I realized that I haven't done a good job explaining the context of this event. So the unfortunate event happened at the stationary low power reactor number 1, also known as the SLA-1. At 9:01 p.m. on the night of January 3rd, 1961, SLA-1 underwent a steam explosion and meltdown, killing its 3 operators: John, age 22, Rachel Leroy, age 27, and Richard C., age 26. The direct cause was the improper withdrawal of the central control rod responsible for absorbing neutrons in the reactor's core. The detail of this event that really struck me some thought is that on the same day, with 2 hours before their death at 7 p.m., John's wife called to ask for a divorce. So the last thing he spoke with his wife was about how they're going to split his paycheck. Most likely exhausted by his personal and professional life, 2 hours later he had to move this central controlling rod of the SL-1. Note that his responsibility was to move this rod 4 inches above and not a slightly bit more. At 9:01 p.m., John withdrew the central control rod many inches too far and the core vaporized in an instant. That had me thinking that a lot of the times we are judging people and we have this tendency to think that the world has so much fun and we are the ones that they're going through difficult circumstances or periods of life. And that's really easy to conclude when you are living in a difficult time. We don't realize what people are going through, because when we see people on the street or when we interact with people, we don't quite know what happenings behind the scenes, if you will. So since a lot of my audience at this point in time are male, I'm going to conclude that the ones that are watching right now are males, and you are already aware of how much the world demands of men and so on and so forth. And I thought of this guy who died so young. You know, he was so young, he was a scientist, he had so much ahead of him. He also had so much responsibility, and I'm not sure if at that age you should be trusted with so much responsibility, because not only that you killed yourself and you killed your friends or your colleagues, but you also injured so many others in this madness. So this kid, because he was basically a kid, had so much responsibility on his shoulders, and at the same time he was expected to do anything and everything right, regardless of his sleep pattern, regardless if his wife had an affair or not, if he had children or not, and this goes on and on with everyone in general. This is life struggles. Basically, it kind of brought myself back on reality with my feet on the ground, if you will, and made me think and reconsider when dealing with people in general, and you're expecting people to do their best at all times because you deserve it, or because you're entitled, or because you paid for it. However, becoming more empathetic towards people around us not only would help them, but it also would help us to understand and not react to people's bad behavior, or basically avoiding getting disappointed. I think that's what I'm going for. Watching this event had me wondered if he would have had a supportive partner, or let's say if he wasn't going through a divorce, would this accident would have happened? How was he mentally that night? Because his wife just called to tell him, look, I'm leaving you, and he had to do this experiment. And obviously this is not to take out of the responsibility of the fact that he fucked it up, and I'm sure that his manager fucked it up, or anyway, it's more than that, but just to simplify the idea that since men are dealing with responsibility and with risk more than women, and the world demands so much of them without having them stop and cry baby or moan about how difficult their life is, I thought, what is it that we could do as men and women, to at least to the ones that they are sacrificing their life in order to keep us safe and fed and comfortable? What is it that we could do to make their life easier, to try to avoid to add on top of their difficulties in life, right? Like after that, I was thinking that when I go, when I travel with a coach or with a train, there's always someone feeling entitled to have the best service possible when they're paying like £3 for a coach ticket. And obviously you should be treated nicely, and you should have the basic condition when you travel economy class, but at the same time, even if sometimes happens, behaving like a Karen and demanding stuff just because you're entitled, because you paid £3 your bus ticket, doesn't quite make people's life easier. I mean, think about that driver. Like, God knows what has happened to him. God knows how many hours he has driven, how much hours he has to drive continuously to drive you safely home or to see your family, and so on and so forth. And this kind of behavior is quite often, and I am myself guilty of it. I think many times I thought entitled, that the world should give me the best just because I give so little in return. Like I said, just because you pay doesn't mean you have to be treated like a business class. Obviously, like I said, this doesn't disregard the fact that people should treat you decent. Sometimes things happen, and life isn't perfect and people are going through shit. So by adding extra stress on top of the workers or the manager or whoever has to take responsibility when things go wrong, you might not help. You might end up starting a new nuclear event to because the thing is that we don't realize how connected we are with each other, even though we don't like those feminists, even though we don't like those MG Tao, even though we don't like those idiots or whatever people we don't like around us. We are so connected with each other, and we don't realize that the way we behave with someone else, that will have an impact the way how they will behave in that day, or even in the future with other people or with themselves, or there is an impact we have. We think because we're 7 billion it doesn't quite matter what we do, or if no one sees us it doesn't matter what we do, and it doesn't work like that. At least this is what I concluded. So yeah, I'm not sure if this was exactly on point. In conclusion, if we could stop when things go bad and when someone's annoying us, you know, the guy in the traffic or the Karen or whoever annoys us, or even our wife or anyone else, before we get reactive, if you could only step back and just think about it. Okay, why is this person making my day miserable right now? Because especially if they're a stranger, they have nothing against you because they don't know you, so it's not quite personal, you know what I mean? Something must have happened to them at one point in time, or even today, or even in their life or in their family, that drives them to behave like this right now. I guess this is how you practice compassion or empathy with each other. And you know, instead of you ranting on and on and on why life is unfair with you, if you could connect with when you had a shitty day and when people just didn't give a shit that you had a shitty day and they still required from you stuff. If you could connect with that and you think that this person might have a shitty day as well, perhaps you can empathize with them. And mind you, people will pay attention to that. I noticed many times when I've got like a Karen response from someone and I really managed to keep myself without reacting, and I managed to not respond back with fire, they calm down, you know, because they managed to see that they are in the wrong and they can hear that they are the only one raging, and they kind of feel stupid because I think they're expecting you to backlash with them. So when that doesn't happen, people tend to feel silly. In the end, if you are planning to divorce your man, can you please wait for him to come home, not do it when he's at work, because he might his brain out and he might blow up the entire country and then everyone's gonna be radiated, and yeah, that's not fun. Obviously relationship end and divorces will happen regardless, but if we could only be more mindful about what we're doing and how we're coming across to our partners and to people that we are spending our life with, and if we have something negative to say, if we could keep it for when we are together. And people in general, and I don't know if this is women, but people in general, after after we break up and stuff, you just you want to wash your hands and go. You don't quite reconsider that how this is going to affect the other person, and if you could care a little bit to stay around for them to be safe, especially if you know they are responsible for many other people around them, to make sure that they're going to be sane and rested and before they go back into the world, in order to avoid risking their life and other people's life, if that made any sense. Now, I'm not sure if I made any sense. I tried my best to do it without any notes and stuff. I rarely do that, so maybe that's a wrong thing. But anyway, let's say that this was quite like a ramble video, and I hope you stayed with me until the end, and I hope I hope this message managed to strike you any awareness thought or good thought or anything positive that will help you navigate your life better. Until next time. No. Like always, guys, thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for your support. And yeah, until next time, see ya. Hi everyone, and wow, this is this is worse than I expected.